Hello, hello. We are going to get started in a few. Make sure to tweet out that you have joined the spaces. We're going to let this run for about a minute or two, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining. Hello, Koala. Hello, Andrew. Andres, thanks for coming back. Hey there, Kilroy. All right, we're going to get started in a few. Make sure to tweet out that you're here. Hey there, Antonio. Thanks for joining. All right. Thanks, everybody who's tuning in. Especially some new faces. Mojud. Crypto Magazine. Thanks for coming. Growing Ape. Thanks for coming. Sihan. Mikey. Hey, Luanda. Good to see you again. All right. Make sure to tweet out that we are here. Hey there, MetaMask. Good to see you. All right. Thanks to everybody who is tuning in. Welcome to NFTs for Good. Hey there, Ike Dog. Good to see you. We are a weekly Twitter Spaces that's all about highlighting the builders and the founders in the DeFi, Web3, crypto, and NFT space. We do this at least once every week. And you can check out the schedule on our website, www.bluestudios.io/NFTs-4-good. And we do this because we know there are a ton of stories that always come out about the negative aspects of DeFi, Web3, crypto, and NFTs. But we believe if we keep talking about the positive aspects and how the people behind these projects are trying to make the world a better place by building utility with Web3 technology, that we can really elevate the conversation. So with this show and subsequent shows that we do, we'll continue to highlight the people and founders that also include a social good and utility component in what they're building. And we hope that two things can come from this conversation. One, we hope you get to connect with another founder and hear their courageous journey of going from building and from idea to building in public, and also be inspired by their stories and know that there are some really great people out here building the new internet. You can check out our upcoming shows and sign up for updates at www.bluestudios.io/NFTs-4-good. Quick disclaimer that all opinions of the guests or hosts may not reflect the views of Blue Studios or its hosts. This Twitter space is for informational purposes only. None of the opinions of the show by the host or panelists can be considered investment advice. Please do your own research, be safe, and make sure you talk to any security and investment advisors for more information on how NFTs and crypto fit into your collectible and ownership portfolio. As you can see, this show is being recorded, so we can have it on our website and other places to promote future shows. Also, happy to announce that we are starting to have our episodes on major podcasting platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and Amazon Music. So we'll have more details about that in this upcoming week, but we're super excited about that. And also, really quick before we intro our guests, I am Kelly. I am founder of Blue Studios. We built a community around education, family, and Web3. And we believe in really redefining what families can do together. I'm a strong believer of that. As a third generation entrepreneur on both sides of the family, I seen what happens when families come together, work together around shared goals. And for me, this is exactly me continuing that, I guess, tradition, and bringing and helping other families do the same. And our mission is really to pioneer how families invest, plan, and earn together with technology that's accessible to everyone. And a big part of what we do is around coming up with innovative ways and innovative approaches to educating and inspiring families to also learn and earn together, but also to onboard more families in a safe way to Web3. Super happy to be here today. A big reason why it's important for us to do this show is, again, to highlight the stories and people behind the DeFi and Web3 movement. Web3 is fast paced, it's 24/7, and we've had to work harder and faster than ever, but it's nice to slow things down and dig deep with amazing guests like we have here today. Zach with Blockchain Home Registry. So, with that, I will quickly hand it over to Zach to talk a little bit about himself, and then we'll go deeper into the interview.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kelly. And just one quick heads up. I think James is in the lobby, but he doesn't have a way to request to speak. His handle is at James Rogers 10. So I'm happy to intro myself, but just want to make you aware of that.
Yeah, let me see. I can't see him on my end for some reason in here, but let me figure that out. Give me a second while you talk.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, everybody. Really, really great to be here. Thank you all for taking the time to come listen to us chat a little bit about the exciting world of real estate and blockchain. There's a lot of amazing stuff happening in the space, and we are really excited about what we're working on, but as well as just the general innovation overall, and huge fans of the Blue Studios community and project. Really, really like the whole value system of everything you've set up. I've been in the Discord lately, and it's just been really cool to see just the conversations going on there. So big fan of what everybody's got going on there. High level, just some background on me while Kelly's working on getting James, my co-founder, in as well. James and I have been working in the prop tech space since about 2017. I'll let him tell sort of the story of how we started in there because it applies a bit more to him. But my background, just to give you a bit of summary, James and I met at college many, many years ago at this point. We went to school at Tufts University in Massachusetts. After school, we went pretty different directions. James really moved directly into entrepreneurship and technology, and I went into management consulting, then actually spent about 10 years as an electronic music producer in Washington, D.C. And then from there, developed a lot of skills and interests in sort of the marketing product design realm. And then in 2017, James and I came together to start working on our prop tech company called Torrey Homes. And then most recently, in the last couple of months, at sort of the end of April, we released a new product called Blockchain Home Registry, which is why we're here today. So excited to introduce that to everyone. And again, thank you for having us. Thank you, Kelly.
No problem. I think he has to join on the Twitter app. I think that's the problem.
Okay. I think he can hear us, so I think I'll ping him as well.
I'm pinging him right now, so I think he'll be on in a second. I know that's the weird thing about like Twitter Spaces.
No worries at all.
No problem. So, I mean, do you want to just kind of go into how, maybe you got started in the or interested in the DeFi Web3 space and kind of like what inspired you? Oh, wait, here's James right here. Hey, James.
Awesome. Great.
Hey, everyone.
Hey there. All right. So, just a quick intro. Would love to hear a little bit about your background. And then Zach also says that you're the one who can tell the origin story about how you guys got started in the space and how you guys went from I'm interested in this to, hey, I'm dedicating myself 24/7 and making this happen.
Yeah, I guess I can do that. Kelly, first, thanks for having us. This is really fun. So like Zach said, we've known each other for a really long time. I always like to tell people that Zach and I have been in literally life-threatening circumstances because we used to climb a lot of tall mountains together. So after many years of being mountaineering partners and almost dying on glaciers at high altitude, we decided many years later that we would regroup and start a company together. But in between there, the reason that we did that, I started several companies and ran engineering teams at a bunch of different consumer technology companies. And throughout that, I was always really interested in real estate, and no matter how many times I tried or I bought or sold homes, I found that it never got easier. It stayed really, really hard. It was very stressful, very laborious. So after, I guess the really quick origin story to why Zach and I ended up working on technology and real estate was my wife and I were buying a house. We found it online. Our real estate agent didn't help at all. We actually drove 2 hours to go see this house, and then our real estate agent he didn't even show up. And I called him, and he said his dog had thrown up in his car. He was lost, and that I should just go in without him. So I ended up buying that house, and I was thinking to myself, like, now I understand how software is built. I think software can make this industry better. And I actually quit my job, sold my house, and then Zach and I started a company called Tori. Really, really high level. Tori is a real estate tech company making it easier to buy, sell, and own homes. But we've been doing that. We started about 5 years ago, and Zach and I have both always been really interested in blockchain and in the crypto space generally, and what you may more recently hear referred to as Web3. I'll never forget 2011 when a friend of mine at the gym was telling me that I should buy Bitcoin. I wish I had listened to him at the time. It took me a lot longer than that. But so then Zach and I started this company to really build technology to make things easier in the real estate space. And we uncovered two really big problems that we couldn't help ourselves but solve. And Kelly, your point about what drove us to spend most of our waking hours thinking about this and those problems. And I'll let Zach explain more of what we're actually building. But those problems that we found were, one is that, in building in the real estate space, real estate tech for us more specifically, we found that the industry, while there's a ton of really cool stuff being built, is really uncollaborative. A lot of people are rewriting the same code paths or rebuilding the same relationships and then not helping each other. And for us, that was a big problem. And then another problem that we found is that you might own your home, but when you do, you own the asset itself. Of course, you can sleep in it, you get to live there, but you don't own the underlying data. And what I mean by that is, I actually at one point was trying to buy a different house with my wife in California, and then we get rejected by 10 insurance companies for wildfire risk. And that was data that we didn't know. The seller of the home didn't know. Insurance companies knew that. And they didn't share that with any of us until it was almost too late. Or title companies know much, much more about ownership history and permits and deeds and liens and things like that about property than you might as a buyer or a seller. And we really wanted to go about solving that. So I'll let Zach explain how we're going about it. But that series of at this point, many years of experience led us to where now we've given up many other things to spend a lot of time building what we call blockchain home registry. So I'll let Zach explain what that actually is.
Yeah, sure. Definitely. So definitely tell us a little bit more about what you're building.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, James. So high level, blockchain home registry is a Web3 protocol bringing the world's real estate data on chain. And to sort of ground us in what that actually means, from a consumer standpoint, you can really think of it as Carfax for your home. If people here are not familiar with Carfax, it's a company that gives you a bunch of insights and information and, a Carfax report about whether the car you're looking to purchase, a used car in this case, has had any accidents, open recalls, previous owners, service history, much, much more. So you can think of it very similarly to that. And the idea is that we're creating a record for all property, all real estate, and sort of one source of truth and bringing all of that information together that, James was referencing, that most homeowners don't have access to or the ability to even see on a continual basis. So for a consumer standpoint, it's Carfax for homes. You as a homeowner can mint and claim a verified NFT of a property that you own, and that gives you access to this permanent historical transferable record. So on your side as the homeowner, you can be uploading all of the documentation that you have related to your home, and have a secure storage solution for all of that information, taking things off of receipts, text messages, email. The process of owning your home, is distributed through so many different providers and communications. So having that sort of one source of truth that you can add to and organize everything around your home. But then, it's sort of all of that, but on steroids. And we really, our vision for BHR is building this as a industry standard and protocol and a collaborative one where all of those different service providers that James was talking about, title insurance companies, lenders, banks, energy providers, solar companies, all of them can integrate onto the platform and provide their unique data about your home and put it onto your home record. So all of those different companies and services are going to be able to access consumers, with via promotions and different interesting new technology, and you as the homeowner over time are going to learn more and more about your home and get more access to information about it. So it's a really, it's an entirely new data vertical that really will help bring the entire industry together and then, empower home buyers to really own and understand the information about their property that they own.
No, I know when we first had our conversation before we, did this live interview, it's like when you really think about it, like you said, Carfax for your home. It's like we know more about our cars and even like our devices, everything. We know more history about everything, but the like you said, the most important asset that most important and most expensive asset that most families own.
Exactly.
Which is insane that we've been kind of going blind at this for so many years.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think anybody who's worked or, interfaced with the real estate industry knows that there's a lot of room for improvement, and pretty much everybody is interested in it. All of the different stakeholders, people are looking for solutions, but I think it's really this collaborative approach that's going to, be the end all be all for this, because there's just too much information out there, too many different providers. So providing an environment and sort of a platform to bring them all into one place, and then again, really focusing on the homeowners, at the bottom line. I think that's the way forward for us.
No, it makes complete sense. So for basically your marketplace, how do you attack kind of that chicken and egg problem of the supply side of folks willing to contribute their data to this ecosystem and the demand for homeowners to seek this opportunity to get more access to the data on their homes? And also, are you focused on a particular type of home, et cetera?
So where we're starting is, just primarily U.S. homeowners and, residential property. We intend over time that this protocol could be applied to, all real estate international, and that's very much part of our roadmap and intention. But we're entrenched and have expertise in sort of the U.S. residential market, so that's where we're starting. And then to address your question about the sort of chicken and egg problem, we're builders. We love building consumer technology. We've always been in that world. So we really wanted to get something out there as quickly as possible that homeowners themselves could, touch and experience and, give us feedback on. So the sort of MVP that we released a couple of months ago, that's live now. Anybody, listening here, anybody, they can go claim their homes on the platform. They get that verified NFT of the property that they own, and then access to the dashboard to immediately start managing everything about your home. And, we even give you a home valuation report right off the bat for free as well, just to give you just a taste of, here's a new insight about your home that you may not have had. So the sort of approach is, get that consumer piece out there, really start, identifying what the market wants, what consumers are really looking for, and, what the pain points are that we can solve immediately for homeowners. But then, where things really start to get interesting is when we start to bring in all of those integrators, bringing in large title companies, large banks and lenders and things like that. So there's sort of an enterprise side of this as part of our go-to-market strategy that we'll really be focusing on over the next, 6 to 12 months, because you can imagine that, if you bring in a giant title company or something like that that's doing 5 million transactions per year, not only are you getting all of the, bringing their data onto the network, but then all of the people, all of the customers that they have also get to be onboarded as well. So it's, there's a really interesting flywheel and something we're really excited about, that from a homeowner's perspective, the more integrators on the platform, the more data and information available for you about your home, the more incentive there is to get on the platform. But then over time, the more homeowners on the platform, the more interesting it becomes for those different integrators and real estate providers in the ecosystem, because now there's this, whole trove of homeowners that they can try, market services to and provide real value for. So it sort of goes back and forth in that kind of flywheel.
Oh, did you want to say something, Zach?
That was it.
Okay. Awesome. So my next question is, so what what types of data sources are available free of charge that don't require customers to necessarily input their own data?
I'll take that one, Zach. So there are certain parts of so some things homeowners own, and they could choose to add those, and eventually they'll actually be able to monetize their own data. I'm not avoiding your question; I will answer it, but I think it's an important detail. That, so for example, let's say a homeowner had to get an appraisal if they got a mortgage on their home, which is very typical. They could then choose to add that, and then eventually they'll be able to monetize that data. You can imagine if a software company is trying to build better technology to make appraisals more streamlined, it would benefit them to have a data set of maybe 10,000 appraisals. They'll actually be able to buy those from homeowners if those homeowners choose to make them public. They can also, any data they upload, they can also keep private forever and not share with anyone other than themselves, gated by that access of that NFT that only they own. Data sources that are free of charge, probably not a lot, but we're paying for those things. So the data that's in there now, we as a company pay for because we're trying to add value to the consumer. And then what Zach talked about, we're working with some really exciting partners, everything from some of the largest banks that you've definitely heard of to really large real estate organizations that will be adding data in. So effectively, that will be free of charge to the consumer. We're building it as a network, and there may be costs associated, but not to the end consumer in that world, because again, we're all about creating that value and creating that record where you can just keep learning about your home. You can go on right now and claim your home totally for free, and we'll never charge you. So there will, there's not going to be a cost because we're all about creating that value. And we're not, of course, we're a business, so some of those partnerships end up meaning that we either pay to bring in that data, or of course there's a monetary aspect to that, to the network, when that data gets added, but that doesn't cost anything to the consumer. So effectively, all of those data sources eventually will in some form or another be available at free of charge.
Awesome. And I wanted to just add a follow-up question. So typically, the most information that folks get about their home might be, assuming like during the appraisal process, like figuring out like what's actually wrong with their home and the inspection process. What data, key pieces of data are missing in the typical like appraisal or home inspection that blockchain home registry can provide people when they're going through the buying process?
So one an example that I really like, that is going to be possible, and we're talking to, again, some partners about how this will happen. But you can imagine that your local energy company would add in your real time energy usage data. They might want you to, if you have an electric car, to charge it overnight, or to shift your usage, decrease your usage. We're in the middle of a heat wave right now. Obviously, with AC load, they like to think about, okay, how do we manage this so we don't have a blackout? This is information that's really relevant to the way that homeowners live in their homes, but it's hard for energy companies to relay that to the homeowner. They might add in that data into BHR so that you have it available in real time. But then you can imagine that, when Zach was talking about that flywheel of how data builds on itself, then you can imagine that a solar energy company might add in their sun model to show homeowners what the potential of their rooftop is, to say, hey, here's what your real-time energy usage is. We know what the system size that you would need to offset that, so we're going to give you a discount on a right size solution for your rooftop. And now you as a homeowner have learned those new things. So you were asking about in the buying process, those are both totally relevant. I mean, a lot of, Zach and I have been working in the real estate space for a long time. What the utilities cost is something that everybody wants to know. I'm going to buy this home. How much am I going to be on the hook for gas and for electricity? So that's the type of information that will be in there. The more integrations that get built, again, in that example, the energy company. Now, the next time that you're buying that home, if the owner of the NFT has flipped that information public for you, you'll be able to view all of that, which is much more in depth than you'd ever get in a traditional appraisal or inspection.
Yeah, and I think it's just to add on to that, it's not only what like pieces of surgical data are missing, but also just the continuous stream of information, covering the entire history of the home, because there can be gaps and sort of, spots where there just isn't any accountability or record or receipt. So really starting to get a more holistic look at a home's updates over time, improvements, renovations, things like that. I think that will help somebody who's a prospective buyer be able to have much more, in-depth and analytical insight into what's gone on in the home and help then forecast, what's the actual cost of living going to be to support this home once I purchase it. Because a lot of those sort of hidden costs, as it were, come up because of, things like seasonality and, sort of one-offs, things that break. And so the more vision and understanding you have about the home's history, the better you are going to be able to plan, which then also, if you really think about it, can, start to really become interesting when you're looking to sell your home, because the more high fidelity these records become, the more information available about homes, the more marketable the home could be, because prospective buyers have all of that extra transparency and insight, so they can waive things like inspection contingencies which are, hold up the deal, can lead to the deal falling through. It's just like there's so many more efficiencies that can be gained. So over time, it's both, it's sort of in the homeowner's interest to add records to the network and their home, because down the road when they look to sell, that could really be, something that's quite impactful in terms of, creating interest for prospective buyers.
No, this is amazing. This is definitely the future. So when someone sells their home, how do you envision someone getting access to the data on their home? And then how do I prove I now own this home and get access to your platform? And also, last thing, can it function and how would it function possibly in inheritance planning?
Sure, I can jump in on that. So when somebody sells their home, the way that, when you go to claim your home, we're verifying against public record. We're taking your legal name and matching it to public record to ensure that, yes, you are the owner of this home itself. So the second that that public record is updated, we will be able to verify and say, okay, well, it's clear that, Kelly, if you're the one selling your home, like, you no longer are the owner of that home. So in that case, we'll be building in features to sort of take possession of the NFT in our custodial wallet, and then the next homeowner can then go through the same claim process the original owner or the first owner had, to verify their identity and verify that they are the new owner on public record. So that's how they'll actually take possession of it. And then you had asked what about, can it function in inheritance planning? We don't have that like roadmap yet, but as with anything, like, I very much see a future where that could be easily handled on BHR.
Totally makes sense. And then, so how does someone, partner or do an integration with blockchain home registry? Like, how do you see integrations working with um, you all as you deliver on your roadmap?
I can take that one, Zach. So that's a lot of what we're building now. So Zach talked about the sort of beginning of the product that's live now, where people can go claim their NFT and get access to the record that's specific to their home. We're working really hard to actually build out the entire framework. As you can imagine, there's a lot of code to write to make that work in the right way. So that's not going to be live for several months, but we're working very diligently on making that happen. That's probably the next big thing in our roadmap, is to make it so it's very easy to build those integrations. But you'll see a lot more about that over the coming months.
Awesome. And I just want to note to everybody in the audience, feel free to start thinking through some questions that you have of Zach and James. So I'm going to keep asking questions, but I want you guys to start thinking through them. And then also, if you once you have a question, just go ahead and request to speak. And if you're a little, stage shy or camera shy, feel free to DM me or tweet at me your question. Or maybe it's not, maybe it's not too quiet where you are, but you still want to ask a question. Feel free to just shoot me a DM, tweet at me, or you can just request to speak and come up to the stage. Also, I want to note that toward the end, if you stay till the end of the spaces today, that we'll be giving away $50 Unstoppable Domains credits. If you've come to a previous show before, you can still get a new credit this week. So we love repeat folks in the audience. So we want to make sure you guys come every single week. But again, start thinking through your questions and make sure to stay to the end so that you can get that $50 Unstoppable Domain credit. So a quick question. So tell us about the chain that you're building on and why you chose that specific chain.
Go ahead, James.
So the NFTs are built on Ethereum. We understand there's some limitations there as far as gas fees, although it's less of a limitation in our case because we pay for them. The people that claim their homes don't have to pay any gas fees. We give away the home claim totally for free. We're going to be building a lot more blockchain technology. When I was talking about the integration platform and how all that works with the on-chain data, we're evaluating a lot of different options for that. We actually haven't finalized which chain we're building on top of. Evaluating a few different ones, but again, haven't finalized that yet.
All right, I see Antonio has a question. So come up to the stage, Antonio.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kelly and Zach and James for doing this spaces. It's something I look forward to on a weekly basis now, having the opportunity to talk to some experts and true builders in the space, trying to make an impact and are actually making a tangible impact in the Web3 space and for everyday lives of people. So thanks for that. I do have two questions, specifically regarding um, tamper-proof documents, right? And I just thought about this when you were telling the story about some of the hurdles and some of the difficulties that you had, James, when you were purchasing your home, which really led to you to really like tackle this problem. Um, One is about digitizing the assets, right? So once you claim your home, I was curious to know, will that have any effect in the future or even currently with credit scoring? I check my email daily and I'm constantly getting phone calls about increasing my credit rate limit. And, we check our credit scores, and I'm pretty sure the vast majority of the people in this spaces has a credit card, right? So I was curious to know already or in the future if there would be some integration or if there's some way that credit scores might be affected positively, or if it can read the information and the data that you all have and have some kind of positive or negative effect on credit scoring with your venture. And then my other question is if there's any interesting data insights that you all can share based on your unique vantage point running blockchain home registry. So whether it's like the what geographic area that has the most claimed homes? Is it the West Coast, the Midwest, the East Coast? Any interesting data or metrics that you can share based on what you've learned so far having run your company? Thanks much.
Thanks, Antonio. Great question. So the credit score side, some of the really some of the things we're really excited about on the integration side involve kind of new and innovative loan products that will be made possible because of BHR. As far as will this affect your credit score? I don't know. We haven't talked to any credit agencies about integrations. Is there a possibility for that? Sure. One of the things that we're most excited about with building BHR is the sky's the limit. In a lot of ways, we're agnostic to what gets built on top of it. We're building a protocol for the real estate industry. But if that's something that you thought would be valuable, you, Antonio, could go build that. For example, you could create a novel integration that connects credit scores to the information that people upload, and then any information attached to their home, and then maybe that could work that way. We're excited because anybody will be able to build on top of it in that way. And then to your second question, this is all pretty new, so it's been pretty geographically widespread. As you can imagine, there's a higher density of claims in cities just because there are more people in those places, but it's all pretty new, so it seems like it's pretty widespread geographically across the United States so far.
And just to piggyback off of that on the first question about credit, so we can reinforce this for everybody. We're building BHR, with homeowners in mind, and we understand that there's a lot of privacy, considerations. A lot of the documentation on home records can have sensitive information on it. So, you as the homeowner will always have control over what documents, what information, what data is made public or private. So just to clarify, if at some point there was, an integration built that would be looking at, and assessing credit, again, you would have the control to sort of say, like, I'm, not willing or not interested in participating on that. And then just one other thing on this is less, I guess this is sort of a data insight, but I just think it's been really interesting as we've sort of taken off that there's been a lot of, we're building this with a Web3 community in mind first, just because, the application is going to be much more relevant, especially when we're in the early phases of building on our roadmap and building out features. But I've been really excited to see how many homeowners immediately are finding value on the platform, even with zero Web3 experience. And, it's been a sort of important part of our thesis that, the next wave of Web3 technology very well, and probably should for most use cases, be sort of invisible. The products and services that are using and leveraging the technology should be out in front. But I think anybody who's in here and anybody who's really trying to get in the Web3 space knows that there are definitely hurdles. There's definitely overhead in education, and that's why, companies and teams like Blue Studios are so great, because they're helping sort of, lower that barrier to entry and make it more accessible to people. But I was just really interested and excited to see how many homeowners already find value here and are able to use the product with, minimal to no experience in the Web3 space. I think that, especially in the sort of macro environment and the correction that we're seeing right now in the sort of crypto Web3 space overall, there's going to be, and probably is, a lot of latent demand for real services and products, and no offense to anybody, who's a fan of Bored Ape Yacht Club, but people are looking for more than JPEGs of monkeys, to really validate why blockchain technology is going to be useful in the future. So just, an insight that we had has just been really great to see a lot of people, coming to us first. And, I think BHR can be a really great platform for sort of educating people into the Web3 space, but sort of being this omnibus for education about Web3, blockchain, financial literacy, home ownership, and real estate overall.
Awesome. Thanks for that. And yeah, regarding the insights that you provided about cities, that makes a lot of sense. So thanks for that. And then the description of being a, like Carfax for your home, is brilliant. So thanks for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Antonio.
Awesome. And so our next question I will have is actually from the audience via DM, and then we'll go right to you right after Kilroy. So this question is from 147.wallet, also known as MetaMask. He said, is this data open to the public? Can a user set / give permission to who is able to view any information on their property? Also, they said, by the way, it is very good technology for real estate investors.
So the short answer is yes. Whoever uploads any of the data has full privacy controls over who sees it. So I mentioned this earlier, but a homeowner, when they upload any information, they could choose to keep that completely private forever. They don't have to share that with anyone other than whoever has control of that NFT, which in this case is the owner of that home. So if a third-party integrator, like I said, an energy company or a bank or an insurance company, if they add data to someone's home, it's their data, so they can choose what they want to do with it within the network. But certainly, the homeowner has full privacy controls and never has to share anything that they don't want to. They may choose to share it for certain reasons, like it gives them access to some novel type of integration, or like I said before, they'll eventually be able to actually monetize their data if they make it public in certain ways. But they never have to. And then to the property investor side, absolutely. I mean, there are going to be some really interesting things that are possible with this, like more sophisticated valuations of properties than we've been able to do before with more data available.
Great. Thank you so much for that question. And now, Kilroy, come on up to the stage.
Hello, Kelly. Hello, guys. Hello, Zach and James. This is a very awesome and interesting solution to owning properties. I have been in touch with this topic since 2017, and things just got interesting with the advent of NFTs with regards to a property ownership protocol. So, just two questions. What is the tokenization process with regards to uh, putting all the data into the blockchain? And second question is about security. What happens if uh, in some way or another, I lose my token? That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So the second question first. If you lose access, let's say that your wallet is compromised, we have a system in place where you can contact us and we can re-verify that you are indeed still the owner of that home, and then we have the ability to reissue you the proper NFT for access. And then as far as process for actually getting the information on chain, I mentioned before that a big part of what we're building, or the next big stage of our roadmap, is that. So the whole integration process and what adding novel data to the network looks like. So you'll see a lot more about that over the next few months, but it's not built yet. So I can't really share too many details about what our plans are there. It's really exciting, and there's going to be a lot of very cool stuff. But you'll have to keep tabs on it and follow along for the next few months.
And
Awesome. Thank you
just to
very much.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, and thank you for the question, Kilroy, and also thanks for the support on socials. Definitely see you out there. So
Yeah.
for all of that,
Yeah.
just worth clarifying that right now, we are evaluating decentralized data storage solutions, but anything that you upload once you've claimed the NFT of your home is stored centrally. We just use AWS for that. That's just because
Oh, okay.
we're not yet very comfortable with any of the solutions out there. I definitely think that that's part of the roadmap for sure. But we use this example sometimes, like you wouldn't want your inspection report on chain visible to anyone, saying that like your back door is broken, because then somebody can see that and be like, all right, go rob Kilroy because I just saw that on
Yeah.
chain. So right now, privacy is the highest, one of the highest priorities we have. So this is where we're starting, but very much we'll be, we've got a roadmap to hit that sort of DeFi solution.
Okay. Thank you very much. And just follow-up topic, because this really is a game-changing technology, since and very good opportunities for integrations, such as energy companies, insurance companies, the banking institutions, uh, thinking about Kelly's uh, comment about the inheritance process. I think it should be better if that should be also integrated into the future roadmap.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think we're just, we released a light paper about a week and a half ago, and if people are interested, I'll definitely post the link in the Blue Studios Discord after this, and you can find it on our socials as well. But we walk through a lot of different use cases that we've come up with. There's probably like 20 or so in there, but in all honesty, like as James said, like it's really the application is limitless.
Yeah.
Anything, Home Depot or Lowe's could integrate on the platform. All of the smart home technology companies could, integrate on the platform. So it really becomes, this experience that transcends, into the actual like IRL experience of
Yeah.
living in your home as well. So we're really excited to, continue building in that direction.
Thank you very much, guys, and I will be solidly following you on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kilroy. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. So another question I have, just in general for folks who are listening in. So, a lot of people, they want to work or start something in Web3, but, they might not feel like they have the relevant skills. What would you say to folks who are thinking about building or entering into this space?
On my end, I think it's follow your passions. I think the really brilliant and exciting part about Web3 is it's not localized to one industry. It's in fact probably applicable for almost every industry out there in some manner of fact. So really start with what you love, and find the different projects, like DeFi projects, NFT projects that are working in that space, to just get a better understanding of what actually exists out there, who the players are, who find people that you admire that are working on those problems, and just try and get close to them, and establish a relationship with them. This whole the whole Web3 ecosystem is about community and relationships, and people lifting one another up together. So that would be my first place to start, is just find what you're interested in and go and find who's working on it. Obviously there's a lot of stuff that's not built yet, and there's a lot of applications that I'm sure we haven't even seen, and entire new industries being built as well. So if you've got ideas around that, like just find people who are similarly passionate about the stuff that you are, and start there.
And I totally agree with all of that. I think, and I'm biased a bit because my background is in writing code. But one of the really neat things about everything in sort of the blockchain space is that you can just go look at the code. So one thing that I think is really neat as a way to start learning, even if you don't know how to write code, just start reading some smart contracts. Whether that's, let's say, Zach referenced Bored Ape Yacht Club. You could go read their smart contract just to start understanding, how does an NFT get created? And you don't have to dig too deep to figure out all of the imports that they've got in every part of the library that generates every piece of that, because it actually gets pretty complex at some point. But you could start to go look at that, and it's actually, even if the way that you wanted to get started was maybe by buying an NFT, I would still suggest going and reading that contract, because I think one of the reasons that there's so much stuff that people, and there's so many scams and so much fraud in the space, is because you're buying an asset that the code, the technology, the framework for what creates it is available to you. But a lot of people either don't know that, or they just don't take advantage of the fact that it's right in front of them. So I think it's a really great way. I know I learned a ton by just starting to read contracts before we actually started writing our own a while ago. And that was really, really valuable to me. So it's something I would highly suggest, even if you're not someone who writes code professionally or even on the side. I think it's a really great way to learn about how the space actually works. And it's a really unique part of the technology that underlies anything blockchain.
Yeah, and just one more thing to add there. There's also just, a ton of education being built up in this space. Again, teams like Blue Studios are doing great work there. Other teams like Odyssey DAO, like there are so many different platforms and companies building for this use case of like, how do we get the next million people into Web3, and creating really good resources and, again, communities around all of this. So it's this great moment where, like, as James said, if you want it, it's out there. You just have to go, spend the time to find it, but the information is there.
And of course, keep joining spaces like this.
Exactly.
Love it. Thanks for the shout out, guys. And I love that. James, I don't think anybody has ever said to go out and read smart contracts. So that is great advice to help people get up to speed on, just understanding how smart contracts work, and kind of like the baseline of blockchain. So that is a great answer for folks to get up and running in this space. Would also love to know your thoughts of, where do you see the broader role of like crypto, DeFi, NFTs, Web3, and the impact this can have? Where would you like to see it go?
So as Zach mentioned before, I think there are a lot of different industries that it can apply to. I think there are some people that have a really maximalist take on this, that they think that blockchain is just going to eat the world and it's going to take over everything. Personally, I think that that's probably not the most pragmatic approach. However, I think there are a ton of different use cases that we're yet to explore. But I'm of the mind that we're maybe from a we're over a decade now into this experiment that is blockchain, and I think it's been a really exciting, really interesting, maybe 13 years so far. I think that the next decade, a lot of what you see that uses blockchain won't talk about blockchain. I think that things will be Web3 or use NFTs or use blockchain as an underlying technology. You might not even know it. I think that a lot of what has existed over the last decade has been mostly around cryptocurrencies, but the technology itself doesn't necessarily have to be around a currency. It's actually just a really interesting technology when you distribute durable information globally. And when you think about it that way, about what does it look like to have immutable data that no one can change without some sort of consensus mechanism, that's a really neat technology to apply in a lot of different ways. But you don't necessarily need to talk about it. When Zach and I explain, it happens to be in the name of our company, Blockchain Home Registry. But when we explain what we do, a lot of times we don't even talk about NFTs or anything cryptocurrency or blockchain, because in reality, it's actually just a product that's really useful. When we explain this, sort of this notion of like a supercharged Carfax for your house, people are just like, oh, of course that makes sense. But you don't need to talk about blockchain to understand why that's useful. So I'm a big believer in the next 10 years of blockchain technology not needing to talk about blockchain technology.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then just to add, and I sort of feel this from my musician background as well. Like I think one of the big opportunities of Web3, one of the big promises of this technology is that, there's a bit of a recalibration happening in terms of ownership over data and moving away from just these like large private or public companies that, have all of the information on their side, and distributing that and creating ownership that can sort of transcend these, sort of legacy Web2 institutions. So, on the music side of things, some really exciting projects that are connecting artists to fans, and, they're creating community around that artist, tracking their progress, deciding to follow along vis-a-vis an asset like an NFT, but that NFT then being used to engage that community, give them cool perks and access, and just really enable the growth of those musicians in a way that, legacy companies like Spotify and, all of the layers that sort of strip away, the revenue potential or the earning potential of an artist. I think there's sort of a recalibration there, and really starting to just connect people to the other people and projects that are providing value, and sort of removing those intermediary layers. So really excited. Again, I'm biased on that side because I came from that world, but just excited to see that happening at a larger scale.
Awesome. So I have a question from the audience via DM, and then I will bring Type 3 Civilized up to the stage to ask a question as well. So for 729.NFT, also known as a Bitcoin Bear Club, ask the guest, will there be a token or ICO released by this project for investors to invest?
Right now, we're just focused on building the product. We got a lot of exciting ideas on our roadmap. Like I said before, there's a lot of stuff we can't really talk about because we got a lot of plans in motion, a lot of which are not finalized yet. So I can't really share anything about that because there's nothing finalized. So right now, we're really just focused on building a product that's as useful as possible to everybody that uses it.
Good, great answer. Next up, Type 3 Civilized. You have a question for the guests?
Hi, yeah, thank you. James, very interesting concept. And I was on your website last night, and like you mentioned, there is limitless possibility and applications. But as I was thinking about this product, I have a question. Probably you might have explained it earlier today. I was a little bit late, so sorry if you already explained it. I'm trying to compare this. As I understand, this solution is basically a centralized storage of the home registry coupled with blockchain proof of concept and consensus mechanism. I'm trying to compare your solution with today's Web 2 based solutions, for example, credit bureaus or Carfax, where we are able to query using the internet. Your solution also needs internet, right? And today's solutions also look up into a centrally stored data and get the information. So how different, or what is the added value Um, for to mint an NFT um, as a proof of your ownership of a data that is stored on a central server, compared to using an internet, maybe login by login credential or something, and having the access to the same data. Again, you might have already explained this, but I was late, so I'm just trying to understand.
Zach, do you want to take that one? Nope. Okay, I can do it. All right. So one of the really neat things about NFTs is, and this is you think a lot of times people think about NFTs, they think about sort of 10,000 minted generative art profile photos, but what it really is just a marker, a marker to a specific asset on the internet. And what's really neat about it is before that concept, we never really had ownership on the internet, because you could, I could go make a database and say that you own something, but then I could just, if I just own that database and I manage it, I could just go log in and just change who owns it. But when it's the NFT, and you can actually say the same thing about your credentials. I mean, your login credentials to a website. But with the NFT, what's really neat is that you actually have verifiable ownership of something on the internet. And we really think that this application of that technology is really interesting, because when we connect the real world ownership by verifying that you are indeed the owner of that home within that owned marker in that verifiable unique asset, that this really neat technology that was facilitated, that came about with NFTs allowed for, we think the connection to that is really compelling, because one way we think about it is that the NFT itself is sort of like the keys to your digital house. You are the only person that will ever have that access until you eventually sell the house, if you choose to do that. But that's not as easy to do in a verifiable sense. So easy, sort of a weird word, because it's actually a lot easier to just go make a database record than it is to actually go generate and mint an NFT. But it's a much more durable, immutable concept that we couldn't just go change who owns a home once you've actually minted it. So we think it's a much more secure and verifiable long-term solution than, in your example, just sort of logging credentials on a website. That said, not everybody that uses this necessarily has a non-custodial wallet like a MetaMask or Coinbase wallet. So we actually do support the notion of a custodial wallet, where we'll hold the NFT for you until you're ready, if you want to later move it out into a non-custodial wallet. And then that allows you to log into the platform. So we support both, because my parents, for example, they love this idea and they're excited about using it, but they don't have a MetaMask wallet. They don't own any cryptocurrencies, but they want to be able to use this. So we do support both, but we really, we're big believers in that ownership on the internet that was facilitated really for the first time with some of this new technology.
Sorry, guys, my mic was off, but I think it's working now. Just to add to that as well, when we think about, we get the question sometimes like, why blockchain? And a lot of it is like sort of going back to, the problem statement that James brought up sort of when we kicked off this Twitter space, is that our experience working in the real estate industry for the last, 5 years apiece has really brought into focus how broken the industry is. And a lot of that is because there's a lot of competition. Nobody's incentivized to work with one another. So in reality, I don't think, most of those stakeholders, these large banks, financial institutions, all of the different providers in the industry, there's a huge advantage that having this sort of open and immutable platform, affords all of them to build trust with all of those different providers, because not many of them would be interested in having, putting all of their data into this centralized network, and then we become the sort of big centralized network that can sort of turn them on and off. So that's also, we want to build this as a collaborative solution. We really get to where we want to go if the industry can build with us and we can build together. And the sort of ethos and, the technological advantage that blockchain provides is a big reason why we're using that.
Perfect. Yep. Thank you. You explained it very well. One quick question, actually. If I mint an NFT for my home, does the NFT itself on it or in the trade somewhere would say that this is the address of this home. I'm thinking of a scenario where I mint a home and then everybody knows that the owner of this particular wallet lives here.
That's another one of those privacy controls. It's up to you. So some people like that, but you'll be able to actually say, don't ever show that and hide that from anybody. Privacy, safety, security, privacy, it's all extremely important to us. So all that stuff is baked in from the beginning.
Got it. Okay. Nice. Thank you. This is very interesting concept, and I'm sure this is a kind of a once like you mentioned, once the industry grows with it, this will be basically kind of foundation of validation and centralized blockchain and central hybrid infrastructure of blockchain plus centralized storage. Thank you.
That's the hope. Yeah. Thank you for the question.
Yes, thank you for the question as well. So I know we're getting close to time, but would love to ask a few more questions. One, I know you guys have been kind of keeping the roadmap close to the chest, but is there anything new or new alpha that you can tease out today? We'd love to hear about like what's coming next, whatever you can share. And then finally, I always love to end with an ask. How can the audience support you and spread the word about what you guys are building?
Sure. In terms of the new alpha, I mean, you sort of said it. We're always building. There's a lot of great features that we've got lined up over the next many weeks, months, and into the future. So, a lot coming down the pipeline. Want to keep people in suspense, but we will be releasing something in the next couple of weeks. Sort of really developing the sort of maintenance history and tracking so that anything that you do on your home, any kind of service, you can log and really start to build up the fidelity of that record and get a better snapshot of like what you've actually been doing to your home. And as I mentioned earlier, that information, that record can be really, really useful when you look to sell. So that's just one very small thing we've got coming up. And then beyond that, we're going to be releasing an ambassador program. We've had a lot of people raising their hand, really excited, trying to find ways to get involved. And so we want to empower our community and, create something thoughtful around that so that everybody can participate and, find some, interesting way to reward and, provide advantage and opportunity for folks who want to participate at that level. And then also just building out a lot of education and content. We've got our blog live. We're constantly putting out great stuff there because, again, as I said, I think Blockchain Home Registry sits in this great sort of, trifecta of interest in education, for Web3 space, real estate, and then sort of financial wellness, financial literacy. So constantly putting stuff out there to just, it's in our advantage. And, we have just a lot of conviction and really believe that more people should know about this space and all of the potential that it has. So that will be, our contribution to that effect. And then, Kelly, you also asked about our ask. Try the product. As James said, it's free for anybody who's a homeowner to go and claim their home. So we love feedback. Anybody who's got thoughts, things they'd like to see, we just want to learn and build with our community. So try the product, give us feedback, let people know what you're thinking about it, and just tag us on socials.
Amazing. Awesome. Thank you so much. Go ahead, James.
Oh, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good. No problem. So yeah, no, really want to thank you guys for coming on today. Want to thank everybody for also tuning in. In terms of everybody getting to redeem their Unstoppable Domains credit, make sure to DM Blue Studios Labs. We are in this Twitter space right now. So if you click on Blue Studios Labs, this little gear with the Saturn ring around it, please DM that account and let us know that you were in the spaces today, and we will go ahead and send you your unique promo code to get a $50 Unstoppable Domains credit, which is like the GoDaddy of Web3 domains. If you are in this space and don't DM us, you will not get a Unstoppable Domains credit because I can't remember everybody who attended. So make sure to DM us as soon as possible so you can get that. Again, want to thank Zach and James from Blockchain Home Registry. This is truly the future. I think, again, I always say this, I think we'll look back on how poorly we keep data about our most important assets that we own, and we'll look at this time like it's like the Stone Ages. Like, I can't believe I had all this stuff in different file folders and in different places around the house instead of having it in one central location that is immutable, that can't be changed, and is completely verifiable. So I'm so glad that you guys are working on this problem.
Thanks so much, Kelly. Really appreciate it. And if anybody has follow-up questions, feel free to slide in DMs. We're more than happy to take this offline. But thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Blue Studios. This has been really great. Really appreciate your all's time.
Oh,
Thanks, Kelly. That was really fun.
yeah, definitely. And again, this is NFTs for Good. We're weekly Twitter spaces. We're all about highlighting the builders and founders in the NFT, Web3, DeFi, crypto space. We do this at least once every week, and you can check out the schedule on our website, www.bluestudios.io/NFTs-for-good. We have some really great spaces coming up, so definitely check this out. And hopefully we can have this conversation again with Blockchain Home Registry. I feel like this is just the beginning of our conversation around this space with you guys. So thanks again for tuning in. And thanks everybody for coming. And feel free to follow us to stay up to date on the next show. So thanks again. And everybody have a great evening.